terror, both homegrown and global, is a top concern for those tuning into the president's final State of the Union address Tuesday. What is the president's strategy, and how important are the exact words he uses when outlining the global terror threat? Joel Rosenberg is a best-selling author who's written extensively about the realities of the newest threat, which he calls Apocalyptic Islam. His brand new book, The First Hostage, has just been released, and I am at the edge of my seat getting through it. An excellent book. I mean, and you use fiction to communicate ideas that you think are important. It's a way for people to learn about the threats and to know what's going on, but in an entertaining, fascinating way.
Clancy did it. Vince Flynn did it. It is a good way. A lot of people don't want to read a 900-page book on Islamic theology or history, but they understand that it's real and it's urgent, and this is a way to get into the story. And
you and I have talked about the fact that Al-Qaeda and that threat, obviously murderous around the globe. This is, you say, though, ISIS to a new level. It's not simply radical. You are using the word apocalyptic, that they want to bring about the end of the world, essentially.
That's right. The Islamic State's magazine is called Dabiq. D-A-B-I-Q. Most people have no idea what that means. It's a little town in north of Syria. Why is that important? Because they believe, based on ancient Islamic prophecies, that the Western world, the forces of Rome, will be drawn to that spot for the second to last battle of all history, and that the West will lose and the Islamic State will win, and then they head to Jerusalem. The idea is that they believe the end of days has come. Their Messiah, known as the Mahdi, will come to reign over the entire world at any moment. They're driven by an Islamic eschatology that's genocidal, and that's why it's so dangerous. And yet most leaders, including the president and our two frontrunners in the Democrat and Republican side, they don't understand it, they don't talk about it. That's a problem.
Well, and what you're saying, what you're outlining, their whole purpose and mission, it seems to be driven by theology, by their beliefs about the end times. But as you mentioned, we have a lot of leaders who want to say this isn't a religious group. They are not Islamic. Right. They've hijacked, or they're using the religion as simply a vehicle for their violence, but it's not based on religion. But it sounds like the way you're describing it, it's completely based on their understanding of it.
You can decide that you don't want it to be based on religion, but that's what they believe. Now, we're not talking about all 1.6 billion Muslims. You know, I have characters in here, Islamic leaders, Arab leaders. They're Muslims. They're not evil. What's evil is to have an end times theology, that you're trying to bring about the end of the world, and you believe you need to kill every Jew, Christian, and otherwise, you know, somebody that you would call an infidel to get to your Islamic global kingdom. This is what's defining ISIS. This is what's actually defining Iran's leadership. Not the people, but the leaders. The difference is that ISIS wants to build a caliphate now, so they're killing and slaughtering now, whereas Iran wants to build the pathway to nuclear weapons. So when they get ready to launch the caliphate war, it will be genocidal by the millions, not by the tens or hundreds of thousands.
So how do you respond to those who say, this just sounds like crazy talk, it sounds cuckoo, all of these theories and prophecies?
Well, it is. I mean, you know, and you distinguish this. Jews have an eschatology. I'm Jewish on my father's side. We believe the Messiah is coming at one point. Christians, I'm an evangelical, believe that Jesus is coming to set up a kingdom. The difference is the genocidal nature, to annihilate all of Israel and the United States and all infidels. So it is a crazy eschatology, end times theology, but to ignore it, to ignore what's actually animating both the Islamic State leaders and the Iranian leaders is incredibly dangerous, because it's one of the themes in my novels, including The First Hostage, is if you misunderstand the nature and threat of evil, you risk being blindsided by it. This is about ISIS trying to capture and behead the President of the United States as they draw us into a ground war in Syria, based on their ancient Islamic prophecies. And you have to understand your enemy if you're going to defeat them.
Well, as with all your books, it's a great way to be entertained and informed at the same time. It is a wild ride. We wish you much success with it.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping in, Joel Rosenberg. Best wishes.
Good to be with you guys.
Leave them.